Memorial Day 2013. Professor Scott Althouse sits with his mother at a family gathering in Illinois and asks a simple question. Mom, do you know anyone in our family who died in World War II? His mother thinks for a moment, then mentions a name from her childhood. Her cousin, Second Lieutenant Thomas T.V. Kelly Jr. He was a bombardier on a B-24 bomber that was shot down over Papua New Guinea in 1944. The family had never gotten his body back. That casual conversation sparked a 5-year research project involving nearly 20 family members, thousands of pages of military documents, eyewitness accounts, diary entries, and ultimately an underwater archaeological expedition that would deploy cutting-edge sonar technology to scan 27 square kilometers of ocean floor. In October 2017, 73 years after Thomas Kelly's plane crashed into Hansa Bay, researchers from Project Recover found her, the B-24D Liberator, Heaven Can Wait, sitting in 213 feet of water off Papua New Guinea, remarkably preserved, a tomb for 11 young American airmen. In March 2023, the Defense WWII accounting agency launched the deepest underwater recovery mission in their history, bringing home remains and personal effects, including dog tags, that allowed them to finally identify 4 of the crew members. In May 2025, 81 years after his death, Second Lieutenant Thomas V. Kelly Jr. was buried on Memorial Day in his hometown of Livermore, California. His family finally had closure. Their loved one had come home. Today, we're diving deep into the story of Heaven Can Wait, the family who never gave up, and how modern technology is finally bringing home the 72,000 American servicemen still missing from World War II. March 11th, 1944. Nadzab Strip Number 1, Papua New Guinea. The sun rises over one of the most brutal combat zones in the Pacific Theater. The crew of Heaven Can Wait prepares for their mission, bombing Japanese anti-aircraft batteries around Hansa Bay and disrupting enemy shipping and supply chains. The crew was part of the 320th Squadron of the Jolly Rogers 90th Bombardment Group, one of the most decorated units in the Pacific. The 11-man crew had arrived in Papua New Guinea just 4 months earlier, in November 1943. They were young, most in their early 20s, but they were experienced, well-trained, and flying one of the war's most capable bombers, the B-24D Liberator. The crew consisted of First Lieutenant Herbert G. Tennyson, pilot, age 24, from Massachusetts; Second Lieutenant Thomas V. Kelly Jr., bombardier, age 21, from Livermore, California; Second Lieutenant Donald W. Shepik, navigator, age 22, from New Jersey; Staff Sergeant Eugene J. Darrigan, radio operator, age 24, from Wappingers Falls, New York. 7 additional crew members whose names would remain on the MIA list for over 7 decades. The mission briefing was straightforward: fly to Hansa Bay, bomb the Japanese positions, return to base. Standard procedure for the brutal island-hopping campaign that was slowly pushing Japanese forces back across the Pacific. At approximately 8 a.m., Heaven Can Wait roared down the runway and lifted into the sky, joining a formation of other B-24s headed for the target. What should have been a routine mission would become a tragedy. As the formation approached Hansa Bay, Japanese anti-aircraft batteries opened fire. The sky erupted with black clouds of shrapnel from exploding shells designed to tear aircraft apart. The B-24 formation pressed on, maintaining course through the deadly barrage. Bomb bay doors opened. Bombardiers like Thomas Kelly Jr. lined up their targets, preparing to release their payload. Then disaster struck Heaven Can Wait. Witnesses from other aircraft in the formation saw flames suddenly erupt from Heaven Can Wait's bomb bay. The fire spread with terrifying speed, racing toward the tail section. It is believed that anti-aircraft fire struck the plane, causing the bombs inside to explode. A direct hit to the bomb bay while the ordnance was still aboard. Every bomber crew's nightmare scenario. Witnesses from other aircraft saw fire erupting from Heaven Can Wait's bomb bay before the flames quickly spread to the tail. The plane, along with its 11-man crew, was last seen pitching violently before banking left and crashing into the sea. The pilot, Lieutenant Tennyson, struggled to control the burning aircraft. Perhaps he tried to give his crew time to bail out. Perhaps he was trying to reach the water for a ditching. We'll never know his final thoughts as flames consumed his plane. Heaven Can Wait banked sharply left, nose dropping, trailing black smoke and fire. She plunged into the waters of Hansa Bay and disappeared beneath the surface. Several aircraft circled the crash site, desperately searching for survivors, parachutes in the water, life rafts, any sign that someone had made it out. Several other aircraft circled the crash site in hopes of locating survivors, but none were found. The entire crew, all 11 men, were gone. Back in the United States, families received the dreaded telegram, "Missing in action." For the Kelly family in Livermore, California, the news was devastating. 21-year-old Thomas Kelly Jr. had been so excited to serve his country. Now he was gone, lost somewhere in the Pacific, and his family had no idea what had happened or where his body lay. After the war ended in 1945, the American Graves Registration Service, AGRS, conducted extensive searches throughout the Pacific, trying to locate and recover remains of missing servicemen. They searched crash sites, jungle terrain, and coastal areas across New Guinea, but Hansa Bay was vast. The ocean was deep. Aircraft wreckage could be anywhere across miles of seafloor. Without precise coordinates or advanced underwater search technology, finding a single downed aircraft was nearly impossible. Year after year passed. Thomas Kelly's family mourned him, honored his memory, but had no closure. His body was never recovered. His final resting place remained unknown. By the 1950s, the families of the Heaven Can Wait crew, like thousands of other MIA families, had largely given up hope of ever recovering their loved ones. The Pacific Ocean had claimed them, and modern technology simply couldn't reach deep enough to bring them home. The crew of Heaven Can Wait joined the heartbreaking statistics. More than 72,000 missing American service members from World War II, their fates unknown, their bodies unrecovered. For nearly 7 decades, that's where the story remained, frozen, unresolved, a family's grief with no possibility of closure. Then came Memorial Day 2013. On Memorial Day 2013, Scott Althaus, a political science and communications professor at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, asked his mother for names of relatives who died in World War II. It was meant to be a simple memorial gesture, honoring family members who had served. According to the Associated Press, his mother gave him the name of her cousin, Second Lieutenant Thomas V. Kelly Jr., the bombardier of Heaven Can Wait. Althaus began researching. He expected to find basic service records, maybe a casualty report. What he found instead was a mystery with hundreds of loose threads, and he couldn't let it go. He discovered that the military had some information about where Heaven Can Wait went down, but the exact location had never been determined. Eyewitness accounts existed from pilots who had seen the plane crash. Mission reports contained details about the attack, but no one had ever compiled all this information into a comprehensive analysis. Althaus, trained as a researcher, realized that with modern analytical tools and access to declassified records, it might be possible to determine exactly where Heaven Can Wait had crashed. What started as casual Memorial Day research transformed into a family project. The family began collecting historical documents and eyewitness accounts of the loss of the crew. Nearly 20 Kelly family members joined the effort, each contributing research, tracking down documents, contacting military archives. They obtained official mission reports from March 11, 1944, eyewitness narratives from pilots who saw Heaven Can Wait go down, diary entries from crew members on other aircraft in the formation, navigation charts and weather data, Japanese anti-aircraft battery positions, post-war search records. For 4 years, the family worked. They compiled evidence. They interviewed elderly veterans who had been there. They analyzed flight paths and ocean currents. After 4 years, Althaus wrote a report that concluded that the bomber likely crashed off a war point in Papua New Guinea. The report was meticulous, thoroughly documented, and compelling. Althaus believed he knew where Thomas Kelly's plane lay, in Hansa Bay, somewhere off Awar Point, in approximately 200 feet of water. But knowing approximately where something is and actually finding it on the ocean floor are two very different things. That's when Althaus learned about Project Recover. The report was shared with Project Recover, a nonprofit that partners with the DPAA to help search for and locate missing American service members. Project Recover is an extraordinary organization, a collaborative team of marine scientists, archaeologists, historians, engineers, and volunteers who use cutting-edge technology to locate aircraft associated with MIAs from World War II. Founded by oceanographers, archaeologists, and military veterans, Project Recover has located dozens of crash sites across the Pacific. Their mission is simple but profound: bring the missing home. The organization uses technology that didn't exist during the original post-war searches, side-scanning sonar that can map the ocean floor in high resolution. Underwater ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, equipped with cameras, advanced diving equipment for deep-water operations, GPS, and computer modeling to narrow search areas. Historical research and forensic analysis. When Project Recover received Althouse's report on Heaven Can Wait, they recognized the quality of the research. Unique to this mission was the contact by an extended family group associated with Heaven Can Wait, while our historians were independently researching the loss of their loved one prior to our departure to Papua New Guinea, said Eric Terrell, co-founder of Project Recover, expedition leader at Hansa Bay, and an oceanographer from Scripps Institution of Oceanography at the University of California, San Diego. The family's research aligned with what Project Recover's own historians had been discovering. Together, they determined that Heaven Can Wait was one of 5 U.S. aircraft lost in Hansa Bay during fierce combat, accounting for 24 MIAs total. In October 2017, Project Recover mounted an expedition to Hansa Bay. The Project Recover team arrived in Papua New Guinea with an array of sophisticated equipment, scanning sonars, high-definition underwater imagers, diving gear, and unmanned aerial and underwater robotic technologies. After 11 days on the water and a search that covered nearly 27 square kilometers of the seafloor, the team methodically scanned Hansa Bay. Then, Project Recover located the debris field of the B-24 bomber in 213 feet of water. The sonar images were unmistakable: a large 4-engine bomber, wings intact, sitting on the ocean floor. The wreckage matched Heaven Can Wait's description and was in precisely the area the Kelly family's research had predicted. Underwater ROVs descended to capture high-definition video and photographs. What they saw was both beautiful and haunting. Heaven Can Wait, remarkably preserved after 73 years underwater, resting on the seafloor as if asleep. The team documented everything: the aircraft's position, the debris field, identifying features. They carefully noted locations where human remains might be present. The details of the crash site have been formally communicated to the U.S. government for their review to potentially set into motion a process for recovering and identifying the remains of up to 11 crew members missing for over 70 years. The Kelly family was notified. After nearly 74 years, they finally knew where Thomas lay. The long silence was broken, but finding the aircraft was only the beginning. The hardest part, the deepest underwater recovery mission in DPAA history, was yet to come. In March 2023, DPAA returned to the site for its deepest underwater recovery mission ever. At 213 feet below the surface, the recovery team faced extraordinary challenges. Nitrogen, narcosis, the rapture of the deep, affects divers at that depth. Bottom time is severely limited due to decompression requirements. Visibility can be poor. Ocean currents complicate operations. The wreckage itself may be unstable or dangerous. The team worked methodically, carefully excavating the crash site. An investigation team recovered possible remains and other evidence, including life support equipment and dog tags. Dog tags, those small metal identification tags that every serviceman wore. After 79 years underwater, they were still readable. The remains and evidence were carefully transported to the DPAA laboratory for analysis. DPAA scientists used dental, anthropological, and DNA analysis to identify and officially account for the crew members. Modern forensic science, DNA analysis, dental records, anthropological examination could do what had been impossible in 1945. The techniques used to identify the remains were the same ones used in modern criminal investigations and disaster victim identification. Slowly, over months of painstaking analysis, identifications were made. 4 of the 11 crew members were positively identified: Second Lieutenant Thomas V. Kelly Jr., Bombardier First Lieutenant Herbert G. Tennyson, Pilot Second Lieutenant Donald W. Shepik, Navigator Staff Sergeant Eugene J. Darrigan, Radio Operator 7 remain unaccounted for. Their remains may still be at the site, or they may have been lost to the ocean. The AP reports that 7 men who were on the plane are still unaccounted for, and a future DPAA mission to the site is possible. Darrigan was buried with military honors on May 24, 2025, in his hometown of Wapengers Falls, New York. Kelly was buried on May 26, 2025, Memorial Day, in Livermore, California. 81 years after his death, Second Lieutenant Thomas V. Kelly Jr. finally came home. The funeral in Livermore was attended by family members who had never met him, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, relatives who knew him only as a name on a memorial wall and a photograph in family albums. Scott Althaus, the professor whose Memorial Day question had started the whole journey, stood among them. His casual inquiry 12 years earlier had brought his cousin home. The 4-year research project, the partnership with Project Recover, the underwater expedition, the DNA analysis, all of it had led to this moment. Kelly was laid to rest with full military honors on Memorial Day 2025, a date that held special significance since it was a Memorial Day conversation that had sparked the search for him. For the families of the other identified crew members, Tennyson, Shepik, and Darrigan, similar ceremonies brought long-awaited closure. In 2018, relatives of all 11 crew members gathered for what they called a family reunion in Victoria, Minnesota. People who had never met before, connected only by the fact that their loved ones had died together on March 11, 1944, shared stories, memories, and tears. They weren't just honoring the dead, they were affirming that even after 8 decades, these men mattered. Their service mattered. Bringing them home mattered. The story of Heaven Can Wait is about many things: war, sacrifice, advanced technology, and the dedication of Project Recover's team. But at its heart, it's about something simpler and more profound: a family who refused to forget. Scott Althaus could have accepted his mother's answer on that Memorial Day in 2013 and moved on. Most people would have. Thomas Kelly had been dead for 69 years. What difference could one person make? But Althaus asked the next question, and the next, and the next. He spent 4 years researching. He convinced nearly 20 family members to join him. He compiled a report. He contacted Project Recover. He made it happen. This is an important step toward our ultimate goal of identifying and returning home the crew of Heaven Can Wait who bravely served our country during the battle at Hansa Bay, said Dan Friedkin, team member of Project Recover and chairman and CEO of the Friedkin Group. Our search efforts for the more than 72,000 missing American service members from World War II will continue as we seek to bring closure to the families impacted by their loss. 72,000. That's how many American servicemen from World War II are still missing, still unaccounted for, still waiting to come home. Heaven Can Wait's story proves it's possible. With modern technology, dedicated researchers, and families who refuse to give up, we can bring them home. Every Memorial Day to remember to ask that question. Who in our family served? Who didn't come home? Because sometimes a simple question leads to an extraordinary journey. And sometimes, after 81 years, a young bombardier from California finally makes it back to his hometown, carried home by a family who never forgot him and never stopped searching. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please subscribe for more stories of World War II heroes. And this Memorial Day, honor a veteran's memory by learning their story. Until next time, remember, they're only truly lost if we forget them.